What's going on, guys? I'm Michael Anthony, Michael Anthony Photography. Thank you for checking out my article in this month's Shutter Magazine. Guys, this month's Shutter Magazine article was all about creating dynamic lighting for your senior portraits. Now, our studio just got into senior portraits this year, something I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and I have to admit, I'm addicted. I absolutely love senior photography. I wish it was more of a thing in Southern California. Hopefully we can help make it a thing, but I just love the ability to create incredible pictures with an individual person in different locations and be able to document that time in a senior's life. I think it's a really cool cool thing, so I absolutely love doing it. So one of the things that we have focused on in our senior portraits is taking what we do in wedding photography and translating it to the senior market, because I feel like the business model is sound. I feel like there's a small percentage of people out there that love our style of photography and can only get it from us. I feel like that market will translate very well into seniors, and so far it has. And as you guys know, if you follow us in wedding photography, our style is based around dramatic lighting, creating dramatic environmental portraiture, and it requires us to have a variety of tools at hand in order to create these types of images. If we went out there and we tried to shoot with constant light only, we would not be able to create the look that we are able to get in our final product. Now, don't get me wrong, I will say probably about 90% of what we shoot is natural light, and we'll find different ways to modify it. We'll find different ways to make creative use of it. Maybe it's direct sunlight, maybe it's use of shadows and highlights, but for the majority of the time, we are using natural light. Now, when we create that distinct style that you guys see in our portfolio and what our clients see in our portfolio, that's when we're bringing out our off-camera flash and our different types of studio lighting. And we use a variety of different tools to get the looks that you guys see, but the majority of the time when you see a big, epic, dramatic portrait, we're creating that with use of the Profoto B1 or the Profoto B2 system. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know that I love this system for a variety of reasons. Obviously, the build quality is amazing. It's reliable. It has a really unique ability to create studio-type lighting outdoors and competing with the sun, even with use of modifiers, which again is one of the reasons that I really love it. One of the things that I have been using a lot more lately is its hybrid manual TTL system. So you can get a good meter on the TTL or using TTL on the Profoto remote, and then you can flip it into manual and you'll be able to keep the power consistent throughout the entire time that you're using it. But one of the things that we use these lights to do is to create shape and dimension. And if you guys look at our work, oftentimes you'll see that the way we use light is typically going to be from the short side of a subject's face, especially if it's a woman. And we, as wedding photographers, shoot a lot of brides, senior photography, a lot of high school senior girls. So obviously shooting female subjects, we're going to be using short side light very often. Now, the way that I use light on location is typically pretty simple. It's typically run and gun, one single B1 or a B2, sometimes speed lights if it's later in the day. And we're using that to light the subject's face on the side of their face that is away from the camera. So for instance, if my nose is turned like this, from the camera's perspective, I'm going to be using the light on this side of my nose, so far side of my nose. I don't know if you guys can see very well from this camera's perspective. But what that'll do is it'll create a nice shadow on my cheekbone right here, and it'll create, more importantly, this highlight to shadow transition that creates a three-dimensional look on a two-dimensional medium. Furthermore, to make this light more interesting, sometimes what we'll do is we'll add a backlight or a kicker. Now, if we're using a big, wide environmental scene, obviously we don't want to be photoshopping lights out of every single picture, right? So I might use a light directly behind our client, right? And that'll give them a nice like rim or a nice glow. That look can look good in certain situations. If they have lighter hair, it may light that up a little bit too much and create some problems for you in post-production. If that's the case, then what I like to do is use the Profoto 1x3 foot strip box and use that off camera left to create a dimension and highlight on this side of our subjects. Oftentimes now, and I talk about this a lot, our competitors are using some of the same techniques that we use. I mean, we teach photography, we put our work out there to be seen. A lot of our competitors are going to see that and they're going to start doing what we do, and that's probably happening to you guys as well too in a lot of cases. Now, that's a good thing. It's elevating us as an industry, but you as a individual have to learn how to adapt and overcome and stay relevant in a market where everybody else is kind of catching up, because your competitors will always be catching up, right? So one of the things we've done is we've incorporated multiple light setups into our scenes to be able to do that. And it allows us to have a style of photography that isn't as easy to emulate, because of the time involved to set these lights up. Now, one thing that I always advocate when you're using off-camera flash is to make sure that you're still able to interact with your clients. This requires you guys to have a really good knowledge of the lighting and a really good knowledge of how to get to your shot very, very quickly. One of the reasons why I love the Profoto TTL system. Normal TTL, and I'm gonna break this down for you guys so you'll understand how it works a little bit better. Normal TTL, say on a Canon Speedlight, right? You'd flip your camera into TTL mode, you take your shot. If it's an environmental scene, all the other aspects in the scene are actually gonna influence the exposure of that flash, right? Now, let's just say that it doesn't get it right. Well, now you're gonna have to use exposure compensation to get it dialed in. But with Profoto, one of the things that I love to do with it is we'll flip that remote into TTL. I'll take a 70-200 and zoom in right on the highlight of my subject's face. I'll take a shot, I'll fill the frame, by the way, with the entire face, right, with that zoom lens. I'll take a shot. The TTL and Profoto's system will expose perfectly 99% of the time. If it needs to be adjusted, you would do that in the next step. Next step, I would flip it over into manual mode, right? And what Profoto will do is it will keep the same setting that the TTL just had when you had it in TTL. Flipping it over into manual, now I can make the minor adjustments that I need to make, and then I could go back with my wide angle lens and I could just shoot away and get my shot. This helps me get to my shots quick, which means that I can interact with my client rather than sit here and fiddle with my camera settings, go mess with the light. All of those things kill the mood and the experience of the shoot. And make no mistake about it, guys, like I've said a million times, you're not selling pictures, you're selling an experience, right? So even if your photos are subpar, if you had an incredible experience with your client, they're gonna remember that and it's gonna make them like the photos better. I've had enough experience doing this to know that that is the case almost every single time, guys. So just keep that in mind. When you guys get out there, experiment, try new things, practice, enter print competition. Make sure you're doing that to get better and make sure that you you're taking advice from the judges to refine your work and make it better every single time. That's all I got for you guys today. You guys know I'm an open book. Please email me, mike@michaelanthonyphotography.com, if you have any questions about my article now or articles in the past. Thank you guys so much, and catch you next month in Shutter Magazine.